the New Jersey Self-Advocacy Project and members of the statewide Self-Advocacy Network collaborated to create a technology needs survey. When day programs and other support programs for adults with disabilities were shut down due to the coronavirus, we wanted to find out how self-advocates were using technology at home. So this survey was distributed to our network, which includes self-advocates, family members, and care staff throughout the state. The technology needs assessment is pretty brief, but we wanted to, again, learn how technology was available to folks in their residences. So the first piece of information we collected was an email address, and it then moved on to ask for how you would identify. So we wanted a broad range of responses. We asked self-advocates to respond, family members, siblings, residential staff and managers, as well as other agency administrators. And of course, this catch-all category, other, which we then asked people to kind of fill in the blank of how they identify. So if I was filling out the survey as a family member or sibling, here's how it would look. It basically asked that family member to consider whether or not their loved one with a disability has internet access. So simple yes or no, is there internet access available to that person? And then we wanted to know whether or not that person with a disability had their own laptop, computer, or device. So it was a check all that applies. So if someone has a computer as well as a smartphone, that would be an option. If it's just a laptop, that's an option. And we also asked the family member to consider whether or not their loved one with a disability would benefit from training or education on using the internet and technology. So ranging from 1 being no, that wouldn't be effective or useful, all the way up through 5, it would be beneficial. So let's go with a 4. So when we move on, this is specifically looking at internet device use. So this includes smartphones, laptops, desktop computers, as well as tablets. And we asked the family member to consider what are those devices used for in the home where the person with a disability is living. So again, if the person doesn't have an internet capable device, that's fine, they would move on. But if they do have that device, how is it being used? Is it for telemedicine and virtual medical appointments, researching, staying connected with loved ones and friends, again, while we were sheltering in place at this time? So, you can check as many boxes as apply. How about video chat services? Zoom was very popular in our responses, and we wanted to make sure to also include other popular virtual platforms. So when we look at the type of technology that you want or need access to, we were asking that family member to consider what would be helpful to bring into the home for that person with a disability to stay connected. So would they want a computer or laptop? This is kind of the wish list. What would you really want? Is it internet connectivity and Wi-Fi? And again, if you don't need any new devices, that would be the box to check. In general, the responses that we got did include devices. We didn't get too many, I don't need any new devices, I'm good. People did find that as they were spending more time at home, and a lot of people were sharing devices prior to COVID, it then became really important that each person had their individual device so that they could be part of their virtual activities at the same time. They also found that they might need a better, stronger internet connection, or one that had a higher data plan. We then asked what this new device, this wish list device, would be used for. So is it for attending self-advocacy meetings, virtual medicine, legislative events? Because all of the legislative advocacy events, like testifying at budget hearings, they were moved onto Zoom last year. So this question asks whether the person that you support or your loved one or you yourself, would you need help learning how to use this new technology? And which of these supports would be beneficial? Would you want ongoing tech support, one-time setup of new technology with a guided tutorial? which the New Jersey Self-Advocacy Project provides, and I will get into in just a bit, including video tutorials for adults with IDD. Would it be more of a financial support for purchasing that technology, or a modem or internet connectivity? And then this is a fill in the blank. So we wanted to know if there was anything else that this individual would want to share about how technology impacts the life of their loved one with a disability. And we got some really amazing responses that focused on how critical internet connection and availability of technology became in 2020. We kind of all learned that we needed to get comfortable with these virtual platforms in order to stay connected socially, for our jobs, to keep building our skills, and generally just to stay connected in advocacy while COVID was happening and programs were closed. So again, this is the end of the survey from the perspective of a family member or sibling. There is the opportunity to take the survey again as a self-advocate or a staff member or an agency administrator. We are still gathering feedback because this is an important issue. And even after this public health crisis ends, the current crisis, it is still really critical that folks with disabilities have access to education on using technology, which is why the New Jersey Self-Advocacy Project began developing tutorials. So these videos were created and posted to our YouTube channel. And again, this first video here focuses on how to use Google Meet. So if you have Gmail, if you use the Google Suite, Google Meet, or Hangouts is part of that platform. So again, this is a short video on how to use the different features of Google Meet. Moving on to GoToWebinar, which is where we host our weekly Stay Healthy at Home series. Zoom is a little bit of a longer video because there are many different features that are included in that platform. So we wanted to make sure the video was accessible and comprehensive and covered all those different aspects. So these are kind of the big three. This is the platforms that we see and use the most, whether it's for a virtual day program, employment training, or even medical visits. A lot of doctors are using Zoom or a similar platform to connect. I also wanted to highlight the Stay Healthy at Home webinar topics that focused on technology access. So these particular webinars, all about an hour long, are featured on the New Jersey Self-Advocacy Project homepage in our Stay Healthy at Home webinar section. And again, they're available here to watch at your leisure. These 3 videos are included, kind of embedded in the webinar listed here, but also this one, Internet Safety for Students and Adults with Disabilities, was our very first Stay Healthy at Home webinar hosted in April of last year. It's a great place to kind of start, and if you are a parent or a family member, sitting down with your loved one with a disability and watching this together and going through the functional tips that are included can be a great way to assess how comfortable your loved one with a disability is in using the internet. And also, it is meant to be accessible for self-advocates, of course. We want to make sure that adults with disabilities have that education and information to feel informed and feel like responsible internet users. So again, we hope you are all having a great Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month, and we're happy to share these resources on how adults with disabilities can learn how to use different aspects of technology.